Let's get started here. I'm going to share my screen to kick this thing off. Oops, that's the register. All right, beautiful. So welcome to Nutrition, Behavior Change, and Habit Formation for Everyone with myself, Brendon, Rearick, Vinny, Talluto, and Dan McGinley. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Thank you.
We changed the name because we were talking about this before. I had originally had it for clients and athletes only, which means that it's for coaches, but really it's nutrition for everybody. And that's how we're going. We're going to paint a really broad stroke with the paintbrush today, and we're going to cover a lot of things, but they're not just for coaches. Before we begin, I want everyone to ask questions that are relevant to what we're currently talking about in the Q&A box only. Do not write them in the chat. Do not email us. Do not text us. We will only look at the Q&A box for questions, and please try to keep them relevant to what we're currently talking about. The reason why I have everyone ask a question as part of their registration is so that we can answer those questions later on as we go here throughout our webinar. Pre-reading, we asked everybody to read 3 articles. I picked one, Dan picked one, and Vinny picked one, and we're actually going to speak real quickly about why we picked those 3 articles. Then we're going to share each of our thoughts. So we've each made like a little mini presentation for everybody, lecture slides based off of our philosophies, our experience, what we've learned about. Then I picked the most common questions. I think I have 10 or 15 questions. The most common ones asked we had 340 people register for this event. So we will review at roundtable the questions that were the most common. And then finally, Dan, you created a recommended reading PDF for everybody that Vinny and I will add to. I will send everyone the video of this and the lecture slides so that people can have them, and they'll have a recommended reading at the end of this. So everyone will get an email when we're done here. Anything you two want to share before we begin? Or maybe, well, as we go along in our articles, you can share more about, I guess, what allows us to speak to nutrition. And disclaimer, we are strength coaches first. We are not registered dietitians. And we actually had a bunch of scope of practice questions come through. One, we make recommendations and we share our experiences, but we do not diagnose and we do not give nutrition advice for medical conditions. And we do not make or give out meal plans. So legally, we cannot make a meal plan that tells you exactly what to eat because that is what a registered dietitian does. So we are strength coaches. We are all PN certified. Dan, you're going through level 2, correct?
Yep.
Vinny, are you on level 2 or are you level 1?
2.
You're level 2?
I'm taking level 2.
You're taking level 2. Okay.
Correct.
So I'm only level 1 certified. These 2 guys are taking level 2. And I like to believe that we know what we don't know. And we are going to be very honest up front that if we do not know an answer to something, or if there's something that is out of our scope of practice, we're going to punt the ball to somebody else. Because that's not in our wheelhouse. So again, we can only make recommendations, and we're coming at this through the lens of a strength coach. We are not registered dietitians, and I just wanted to make that a blanket statement before we begin.
Real quick, Brendon, someone already asked PN. It stands for Precision Nutrition Certification.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about why PN is our preferred nutrition company that we work with. So this was my article, The Cost of Getting Lean. Is it really worth it? So if you got to read it, great. If you did not, basically what it's about is we all get those clients who say, I want a 6-pack. I want to be ripped. I want 10% body fat. I want to look like this model on the magazine cover. And that's great at all. I understand that. That was my entire existence between the ages of 16 and 22. That's what I wanted. And when you read this article, it's a wonderful article that lays it all out there for you, what you would physically need to do in order to maintain that type of lifestyle, but also what you have to give up. And I think that's the thing that everyone forgets, that if you want to look like that, the things that you have to give up, a lot of people aren't willing to give up. And then you ask yourself, is it even worth going for? And what I like about this too is they give you what they would consider to be healthy. So you're healthy physically, you're healthy mentally, you're healthy about how you feel about yourself. And that's generally going to be, personally, what I like to follow is the 80-20 rule, that if you are doing well 80% of the time, you'll generally get exactly what you are wishing for or what your goals were. But in order to have the six pack, what they say here is tight butts, lean, vibrant, flawless health, many people are not willing or want to give up all of their weekends. They don't want to give up never ever having another drop of alcohol or sugar ever again. They don't want to give up their social, right? Because food involves a lot of social and community. People drink red wine together. People drink most of their coffee together. People don't want to give that stuff up. But if you want that goal, which you have to give those things up. So that's why I love this article. It's a great article written for your clients. It's not written for the trainer. So when my clients say, this is what I want, I'll send them in this and say, after you read this article, is that still what you want? And I don't know if you two have anything to add to that article.
Yeah, no, exactly that. This is probably the one I've sent the most people throughout the years. Like when people tell me they want six-pack abs, or they want whatever it is, this is always the go-to that I send. And it does, like, I've had several people come back to me and be like, yeah, you're right. It's not worth it. I don't want to give that stuff up. So
right.
This is definitely one of the best.
Yeah. And this is the number one article, like you said, Dan, is that I've given out personally to clients. And, you know, I would say, again, 80% of them say, like, never mind, I changed my goals. I don't want that anymore. And there's 20% of people that say, no, I still want it and I'm willing to give it up. But at least you've laid it all out there so that you don't spend
Right.
12 weeks working towards a goal that they find out, oh my God, I really didn't want this.
Right.
Vin, you got anything? Are you ready to move on?
No, it was good. That was perfect.
Okay. So next one. So we have the 5 universal principles of good nutrition according to science. So this was your pick, Dan. So if you could explain why you picked this article, and maybe explain a little bit more to the group why Precision Nutrition is our preferred nutrition company that we work with.
So this article in particular, I like, because first it goes through the according to science part. So it basically talks about what to look for if you're looking through research, what actually determines whether something's a good research study or a valid research study, which I know we actually have another CFSC seminar or webinar on that with Damien in a couple of weeks. But so it sort of lays out what to look for when you're looking at some of the research, and then it just goes through basically exactly the kind of 5 principles that are science-backed and sort of indisputable, that covers good nutrition sort of across the board. And it's basically, it talks about diet. You know, there's so many different diets out there, and I think that's one of the things that's really confusing in nutrition, is there's so many different schools of thought. But when you sort of boil all of those down, it comes out to sort of 5 things that they all have in common across the board. And this lays that out. So one of them is just the calories in versus calories out, right? Like that's not really debatable. It's if you want to lose weight, that scale has to be, you know, more calories out than calories coming in. And if you want to gain weight, it's the reverse. So that's like an indisputable kind of evidence-based thing. 2 is protein's the most important macronutrient, and they kind of lay out why that's the case, both with helping people feel more satisfied after the meals, not having to eat as much, and then also just helping people build more muscle, maintain lean mass, all things that are going to help with how they look and their health. The third one is food processing. So as a food becomes more processed, the less nutrient density it becomes. So basically, again, like the universal principle, all diet sharers eat more whole foods, right? Like you're not going to find any kind of school of thought that sort of goes away from that. The fourth one is fruits and vegetables. So just increasing the amount of micronutrients you get. So trying to have a variety is key. Like as I think it's in Mark Verstegen's book, it says like eat the rainbow, right? So again, as many different fruits and vegetables, as much variety as you can, and you're going to cover all your bases. And then the last one was sleep. So the fifth one, sleep. And I think this is something that, although it's not necessarily a nutrition thing, it's definitely tied into, it's certainly tied into all the behavioral stuff that we're going to talk about, but this is like one of the biggest things, because I think people, you could do all the right things training wise, you could do all the right things eating wise, but so many people just aren't sleeping that none of it makes any difference, right? So that's like one of those things I think that have to be addressed and has to be taken care of first. And with that, I always think of Brendon Marcello's talk at Perform Bear 2 summers ago. He said he has a PhD in nutrition, and he would say that sleep is way more important than nutrition. Like he lays that out for people, just saying that it's that important. So that was the fifth principle. And then the last one, they talk about sort of the internal appetite regulation, this is why I think precision nutrition is so good, is that one, it's very realistic, and I don't want to make this a sales pitch for PN, but it's very practical based. So they can boil things down to what you can actually use with your clients. And I'm sure Brendon, Vinny, you guys have takes on why you like it as well. But that's why I like it. I think it's very practical, and they talk all the time about it always comes back to behaviors, right? I know we're going to talk more about that later, but I think that's for me personally, that's what sold me on their stuff, and why I still think it's the best thing that's out there as far as a system for nutrition.
What do you think, Vin?
No, that was perfect, man. I think that precision nutrition is the standard when it comes to application to nutrition. And we talked about this beforehand, but like the science stuff is cool and interesting for us, but we care about like actually making practical solutions and changing people's behaviors in the decision making of nutrition.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. And yeah. I would add why I personally like precision nutrition the most is that I've never read another, we'll say, publication, even though it's online. I've never read another publication that they present the science, they present what they believe, they present what other people believe, and then they allow you, the consumer, to make your own decision. And I love that, because it's not dogma where it's like, this is the only way to do it. We are the only people who do it right. Everybody else is wrong. Precision Nutrition writes every single article the same way. Here are the facts. Here's the science. Here's what we believe. Here's what other people believe or say. And now it's your decision to make it.
Right.
And every article is written like that. And I've personally tried to adapt that to my own writing. Like, well, this is what I've learned, or this is what I know, but this is what other people say. So you make the decision. I'm not going to make it for you. I think that's why I like precision nutrition so much. Vinny, so I copied and pasted the wrong article here.
Oh,
but I know, I apologize. So here, we'll do this real quick. Am I on the big screen now? So Vinny, your article was, I'm going to bring this up here.
The Beginner's Guide on How to Eat Healthy and Stick to It. Yeah.
I apologize. So I'm going to fix it, and then we're ready to go. So why did you pick this article, Vin? And do you want to share kind of like who James Clear is?
Yeah, well, so I chose this one because I didn't want to have 3 precision nutrition articles. I thought it'd be good to have something different. But James Clear, and kind of everything that I'm going to talk about today, is the author of Atomic Habits. And I chose this article specifically is because it's the one I send out to every client after our first session together. My main takeaway from it is the purpose of people's habits and how to solve them is to do it with as little energy and effort as possible in order to make them stick. And if you haven't read Atomic Habit yet, I highly, highly recommend it and put it at the top of your list. So this article starts out by talking about how everyone wants to eat healthy, right? And knows it's important, but 40% of the US is overweight. So clearly there's a disconnect. Everyone talks about what to eat and what they should eat versus how to do it and how to make it change and stick. So the beginning of the article is talking about craving junk food and how food companies literally spend millions of dollars trying to discover the most satisfying crunch of a potato chip or like the perfect amount of fizz when you drink a soda, right? We don't stand a chance against companies like that. Once they combine the sensations to make an effect in your brain to make you want that food even more. Most people think that building better habits and changing their actions is about willpower and motivation. When James Clear disproves that, I'm going to talk about it later in one of my slides, but MGH did a 6-month study with their hospital cafeteria that changed thousands of people's decision makings when it came to food and also drink sales. They did that by changing the environment in which they showed their products. So it had nothing to do with motivation or willpower, which is what our clients think it takes, right? And then the end of the article, which is probably my favorite part, is he talks about how to change your perception and your decisions by your inner dialogue. Learning how to say no, which is probably the most useful skill you can do when it comes to living a healthier lifestyle. There's a big difference. The research shows there's a big difference between saying I can't do something versus saying that I don't do something, right? Like I can't eat ice cream versus I don't eat ice cream. First of all, that's probably a terrible example, but bear with me on it. But saying that you don't do something considers it a choice and you're in control and you're empowering the decision versus saying like I can't do it means there's a restriction on that you're imposing on yourself. And that all goes back to behavioral psychology and what makes you tick and what makes other people tick. And that's what I like about coaching this type of stuff and forming people's habits.
Cool. Did either of you read the Dorito Effect?
No. Dorito Effect, no.
Okay. So I actually think it was Devin McConnell who told me to read this. But it is an entire 6-hour book on
Doritos.
No, well, it's all about how the Dorito company spends almost $100 million a year or something ridiculous like that on making the perfect Dorito. So
yeah, right.
Like you said, the crunch and then how much like of the sauce they put on each Dorito and how much they put in each bag. And it's insane what these companies spend to make, like you said, the McDonald's, like they may put stuff in their food so that you can't stop eating it.
Right.
And they spend more money on that.
They study addiction.
Yeah.
The
entire book.
They study addiction.
Yeah, exactly. They study addictions. So the whole book is about how they study addictions and then what the process is for like taste testing. And then because it's the 5 things, right? It's salt, smell, taste, fat, sugar, and maybe what's the last one? I can't remember, but yeah, so basically they play with all of those and they spend millions of dollars doing it. So if you two haven't read Dorito Effect, I highly recommend it. It's also just a fun read.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm going to kick this off with my few slides and then Vinny, you'll be up and then Dan, you'll go last. So this actually, it might even be from, I don't know who Eric Helms is or muscleandstrengthpyramids.com, but it's a really good, I just typed in nutrition pyramid on Google and I started looking through and I found this. And this might even come from that precision nutrition article, Dan, that you just talked about. So you're looking at the bottom of the pyramid. It's behavior and lifestyle come first. Those are the most important things. Then would come energy balance. So calories in, calories out. You want to lose weight, you got to eat less. That's number one on the pyramid. If you don't eat less, you won't lose weight, no matter what the quality is. And I think they proved that in that that like Super Size Me movie, or there was like the McDonald's diet that went around. The guy lost 40 pounds eating McDonald's.
Super Size Me, yeah.
Yeah, well, if you would lose 40 pounds eating McDonald's if you ate less than what your current metabolic rate is. Like, so,
all right.
So energy in, energy out has to be number one. That's the base of the pyramid. Number two then is macronutrients, which is your protein, carbs, fats, and alcohol. So the ratio of those is then most important. Then we would go micronutrients, so all your vitamins. Finally would then be nutrient timing. So I would say a lot of people try to put nutrient timing as the bottom of the pyramid. Nutrient timing doesn't matter if you don't have those first three parts of the pyramid done. Like timing is not super important until you've mastered those three. Finally comes supplements. Supplements come last. I always tell people the best supplement is sleep. Like you were saying, Brendon Marcellus said, number one supplement is sleep. If you eat like crap and you sleep less than 7 hours a night and you train only 1 day a week, like you don't need supplements. You don't have anything to supplement or recover from. So you need to have these four parts of the pyramid in check first, behavior and lifestyle in check first, then supplements will finally matter, which for 99% of the people that are probably on this call, supplements aren't probably our biggest problem. And it's not my biggest problem personally. My biggest problem personally is sleep, hands down. And then stress would be number two. So my stuff's all behavior and lifestyle. Thankfully, my wife, Jenny, is very healthy, and therefore that makes me eat better. But like I said, I'm an 80-20 type person. If I can be good Monday through Friday afternoons, and then I eat whatever I want on Saturday, that I maintain my weight and I feel pretty good about that. And I enjoy my lifestyle. So then to piggyback again off of what Dan said, we have here, Eat to Live is one of my favorite books, and comes down to eat more vegetables, eat more fruits, eat more beans, eat more seeds and nuts. So I can say hands down equivocally, I've never had anyone ever have I had anyone come in and tell me they eat too many vegetables, or I've never had anyone eat too many. Like, it does not happen. Even vegetarians and vegans don't seem to eat enough vegetables. They always end up eating like the vegans, like cookies and vegan cakes and like,
or the same type of vegetable all the time.
Or the same type of vegetable all the time. So you said eat the rainbow. So this book, Eat to Live, and then this next book, Food Rules by Michael Pollan. If people ask me what my philosophy is, I steal Michael Pollan's Food Rules. It's eat food, mostly plants, not too much. So mostly plants, 50 to 60% of your food is plants, fruits, beans. And then the other 40% is a mix between fats and lean proteins. And then you've got, again, I'm 80-20, so 20% of the time I eat things that I probably shouldn't be eating. But I always say that if you told me that ice cream, beer, and barbecue sauce would take off 3 years of my life, if they would add 3 years of my life, if I stopped eating them, I'd still have ice cream, beer, and barbecue sauce. Because those are my three favorite things. And I'm not getting rid of those because I would go mentally insane. So my mental health would go take a backtrack. Maybe I'd look better, but I mentally wouldn't feel better. So I like these three. If people ask me, like my clients, I send them these three, like I take them through these three. I love infographics. They're really easy to explain. So this is the importance of each thing. This is the amount of each category that you should be eating. And these are the rules. And there's a lot of other great rules in this book. I highly recommend getting Food Rules. It's less than $10 and it's 70 easy to read, simple rules that you can follow. Most of them are right here on this page that everyone will get. So I have here, I mentioned this already, if your sleep sucks, if you don't train enough and your diet's bad, supplements, recovery modalities, and specialized workout programs do not matter whatsoever. Sleep 7-8 hours a night, train hard 3 to 4 days a week for a total of 180 minutes. If you look at the WHO guidelines, the World Health Organization recommends 150 to 180 minutes of high intensity exercise a week. Eat like an adult 80% of the time. Like I said, I'm Sunday morning to Friday afternoon, Friday night through Sunday night. I eat whatever, drink whatever I want. Coronavirus is a little different. I have a few more beers than I normally do, to be honest. But then we can talk about fancy stuff. Like then if we want to get fancy, but you have to build the bottom of the pyramid first. Like you can't go right to supplements. It doesn't matter. Apple or donut for breakfast, like pizza or salad, cereal or eggs. People generally know what is good and what is bad. It's making the right decision in the moment that we coaches, we need to help people and athletes the most. It's the decision. It's the impulsive, that right when you have the options in front of you, make the better option. That's where we need to help people. And that's what you two are going to speak about next is behavior and habit change. It's not what to eat. Everyone knows that, again, an apple is better than a donut for breakfast, but we grab the donut. So how do we get away with that? Or how do we get past that? The one thing I would like to add to this that I think coaches, and I know in the beginning of my career, I was very idealistic. I'd say, no, everybody should eat kale. Everybody should eat salads. Everybody should shop at Whole Foods. Well, that's wonderful. But health is not about having a six-pack or eating paleo or living without disease. Health is living optimally given your situation, your genetics, your living conditions, and your financial state. So we must account for environment. Kids don't buy the food, their parents do. Right? So and if you live in a third world country, you might not have access to the cleanest foods or the cleanest water. We have preferences, right? I hate fish. My mom is allergic to shellfish. So I never had fish until I was 22 years old. And I can't get a taste for fish. Everyone's like, you should eat more fish. You should eat more fish. I dislike fish so much that I like lobster. I spit it out when I see it. Dan, when I saw you eat that bass in Italy, I almost passed out watching you eat it. Because so it's preferences, it's access, it's belief, right? We have religions that practice things like Ramadan, or religions that you can't eat pork, you can't eat meat. And then we have goals. What are your goals? So I think when we give nutrition advice, we need to start thinking about like, people might not have the money to shop at Whole Foods and they have to shop at the Safeways and the market baskets. Like they can't afford supplements. I had multiple questions on this call. What do I do if I can't afford supplements? And I think I'm hopeful now that they understand they don't need supplements. They just need to eat healthy meals that are well balanced. But those are things we need to take into account. So there is what is idealistic, and then there is what is realistic. And the other thing I like about precision nutrition is precision nutrition meets you where you're at. So you drink 10 sodas a day. Can you drink 9 sodas? Yes. Okay. Can you drink 8 sodas? Yeah. Can you drink 4 sodas? Might not be ready for that yet. Okay. Can you drink 4 diet sodas and 4 regular sodas? And they might say yes. And you keep working with that person. But if you say, cut out soda completely and never have one ever again, it might work for a little while, but they usually end up back on the soda wagon or whatever it is that they're addicted to or enjoy the most. Now, I will say there are going to be people who argue there are the cold turkey people. So there are people that are, I put those people in the type A category. So you have your smokers, right? People who smoke that completely quit cold turkey and never have one ever again. But most people fail to quit smoking. And again, we're looking at the N equals 1, which really pisses me off because yeah, like grandma, this guy lived, or this grandma lived to 110 years old and she ate a pine cone every day, right? Like great. Does that mean we should all eat pine cones, right? There's people who live to 120 that smoke. They chain smoke. Well, they live to 120. Shouldn't I smoke? Again, we're talking 80-20 here. 80% of the people will not do well with complete cold turkey. 20% will.
Right.
So I just want to put that out there, that cold turkey is sometimes the answer, but 80% of the times cold turkey is not. I never use the word diet ever, because diet suggests that there is an end. Diet means I'm going to do it for 4 weeks and then go back to eating like I did again. This is my problem with 21-day juice cleanse. What the hell do you do on day 22? Whole 30. What do you do on day 31?
Yeah.
Well, you just go back to eating however you were. No, it's not how it works. It's lifestyle and health change is what we're looking for. And I hope I just threw up a softball for you two to hit out of the park, because I'm going to get off my soapbox now. And my opening statements are done, and I'm going to pass the baton to you, Vinny.
Thank you.
And you
No, that
can
was
bring
awesome.
up the behavior change and whatnot. If there's anything you
Good.
want to add.
Very good.
No, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. And it's a good
Nailed it.
segue into what I want to go over.
Your screen. Share your screen, bud.
So hold on one second. Let me see.
Oh, God, we might have to get Tia in here.
We might have to get Tia in here. I don't know if I have. Let me see.
I have your slides in here if you
Yeah,
need.
do you want to just, can you send me? Actually, hold on one second. I think I sent it to her.
Yours was the practical nutrition for clients with N athletes? Or is that Dan's? What's your first slide?
Mine is behavior change.
Okay. Here, I'm going to
I think-
share. You got
Yeah,
it?
Brendon, if you share your screen, what you sent us,
Yeah.
I think Vinny's slides were in there,
I got it. No, I got it.
right?
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mine. How do I share screen? You are viewing Brendon's screen, it says.
Oh, well, let me stop share. Okay, now share yours. Okay, so you two are going to bring up, Vinny, you're mostly behavior change, correct? And how behavior change works kind of in the mind. And then,
Right.
Dan, you're going to be more actionable steps to behavior change, correct?
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
You guys see me? You guys
Yeah,
good?
press play.
Yep.
Good.
Good?
Yep. Take it away.
All right, so kind of piggybacking off of where Brendon left off is my coaching. I've gone away from like handing people sheets to say like, eat this, not that. Because most of the time they don't need an education, like a nutrition education lecture. What they need is a system in place that works for them, number one, and sets them up for success. Behavior change is all about guiding clients into the driver's seat of their own journey. They come to us because they think we're the experts or we know all there is to know about nutrition. But reality is they're the experts on their selves, their lifestyle, what they do on a day-to-day basis. So we can't give them answers without making them active part of the process. Because again, like they know where their struggles come from. They know whether it's a work issue or their kids are running around all over the place. So we need to work with them to develop the plan going forward. It's like when you're writing a program for someone in strength conditioning. You might have the perfect plan, and then when you start to do it, if you're anything like me, there's a million check marks all over it, or you have to lateralize because they're not feeling so good that day. So you're constantly tweaking and altering the plan and the process. To me, when it comes to nutrition, these three areas, mindset, managing expectations, and getting them to develop habits, tools, and skills are critical when it comes to nutrition. When I say mindset, what I mean is it has to fit around their life, not the other way around. It's focused on progress and not perfection through small actionable steps that add up to big results over time. Like Brendon talked about, if you drink 10 Cokes a day, can I get you to drink 9? Once you show me that you can do that for a week or two, then I'm going to drop you down to 8. And it's kind of like that 1% better idea. Day by day, we're trying to strive for just a little bit better, not being 100% perfect. when you're going to manage expectations, it's meeting clients where they're at on a nutritional level. Do they even know what protein is? Can they tell me what a typical day looks like for them when it comes to nutrition? Like those are all valid questions when you're starting out, especially in the initial process, because then you can set realistic goals and expectations for them. Yeah, I know you want to lose 20 pounds for your vacation in 2 weeks, but it doesn't work that way. And I'll talk a little bit more about that after. And then developing habits and skills. Dan's probably going to touch on this more than I am, but educating people on healthy food choices and asking them who does the grocery shopping for their household and the cooking, and who do they know how to meal prep? Do they know what proper portion sizes are and proper macronutrients? Because all these things are important tools that's going to help them become a healthier person long term, not just for a short period diet. So I want to start with this slide because people love before and after pictures. What they never show you are the after pictures, right?
Right.
If you look at the research, people are actually pretty successful at losing weight. If you want to lose 5 to 10 pounds, you can do it. But the problem is you can't keep it off. If you look at this picture, so people drop their calories, which drops their metabolic rate, which drops their lean body mass and their fat-free mass. So they look a slimmer version of themselves. But once they go back to their old eating habits, that's when they start to increase their caloric intake, which drives their metabolic rate up, their lean body mass up, and their fat mass up 4 times as much. So now now we've all had clients, oh, it's so easy for me to lose weight, I can't do it anymore. That's because your fat cells have quadrupled. So now what worked for you in the past will no longer work for you anymore. And Dan and Brendon probably can attest to this. When we have clients that say like, that diet worked for me in the past. And I always just like sit there, smile, like laugh. Like if it worked for you in the past, then why are we having this conversation? Right? Like it didn't work. That's why you're coming to see me. Right? Because it wasn't sustainable and you couldn't adhere to it for forever.
Right.
You just went for the quick fix.
Right. Well, it's like we were talking about with those juice cleanse and the whole third, like they're great to like jumpstart, but what do you do at day 22, at day 31? Like they're not sustainable for the average person. Like it's just not.
Right. You're not solving real food problems. You're just restricting yourself.
Right.
Or like when clients say, "Oh, you're gonna kill me. I ate like so poorly this weekend."
Right.
It's like first of all, if you knew how many beers I drank this weekend, you wouldn't be happy with me. But what you're talking about right now, Vinny, Deborah Cray asked a great question. Does age factor into what you're talking about right now? And I'm assuming she's talking about the menopause,
metabolic factor, menopause, hormone changes as you age, 50 plus, we'll say.
I figured that was going to be it. It was menopause. It's thyroid problem. There's definitely, I'm not going to take light of the situation. There are people that have that and slows down that process. But if you can't do anything about it, like I'm not going to chalk it up as an excuse. Like we still there's still things that we can do to help you lose weight, which strength training is going to help improve all these things.
Right. I have a question for you too. Just from my own thought about what that question she just asked and what you just said, Vinny, talking to people who want to use age as an excuse, or there's a way to do it with tact, right? Like because you are older, therefore it will be more difficult to lose weight than when you were younger. Like we all know that.
For sure.
Your hormones are different. Your metabolic rate is different. You're aging. Like it's part of the process. How do we make it right so that it's not like something that they fall back on? Like, oh, it's
crutch.
Just right as a crutch. Like, oh, it's just because I'm a certain age. Like, we all know people too that are in their 50s and 60s that can get
that look great.
That look great. That can be part of it. Again, remember we're talking genetics environment, what you have access to, your previous life, right? And you didn't have an easy life growing up, and you grew up poor, and you didn't take care of your body then, or something physically happened to you, you're handicapped. Like that's going to change all those things later on. So I don't know if you do have anything that.
Well, for me, it's just I never like to compare one person to the other because you're a completely different person, right? And I don't like when clients say like, oh, 20 years ago, I looked like this. Like, okay, let's make you the best 60-year-old version of yourself. Let's not compare yourself to when you were 40.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too is it goes back to setting good expectations for the person right off the bat, right? Because they do have to factor those things in. Like if somebody, it's like that cost of getting lean article. If somebody's like, these are my goals, this is what I want to do. If I want a six pack and I'm 65 years old and whatever, I have all this other stuff going on. Like those are all definite factors that
I
have to
only
be
want to
weighed
work
in.
out 3 days a week, and
yeah. So I think setting a good, realistic setting their expectations is gonna is a big part of it too. Because those are all they're definitely factors, but again, like you said, we don't want them to be able to use that as a crutch if they're also not doing any of the basic stuff that they know they should do.
I think the big thing about what we just said is that we need to recognize that we're all in agreement that as you age, it's harder to lose weight and look a certain way. What we need to decide on, or what we can all get better at, is how we discuss that with the client or the person. And like you're saying, Dan, it comes right from the beginning when you set your expectations. Like, you're 55 years old. These are your goals. This is what you previously did. This is what you're telling me you're willing to commit to. This is what I'm going to tell you as what's possible based off of what you're willing to commit to. So these are our expectations right from the start. And then that way you completely not disregard age, but you don't make age the crutch or the main focal point.
Right.
Yeah. And also there's, like you guys are saying, if they have low testosterone, that's a doctor thing. Like, I'm not a doctor. I can't prescribe you testosterone.
Yeah.
If you need to get your thyroid out, or you need thyroid medication, like, you need to see a doctor. So there are times where, again, you need to punt the ball and have a doctor see these people medically first. Again, we are strength coaches. We understand these things, but we do not diagnose and we do not treat. So I'll just throw it out there. Sorry.
I'll add too, like, even when you're dealing with like an injured athlete, like, all their focus is on their injury, right? That's just a piece of it, right? We can still train other things. The same thing, like when I have difficult clients who only focus on like the scale, right? I want your strength to improve. I want that, like, consistency to improve, your nutrition to improve. All that, like, I think helps when they're only focused on one thing.
Yeah. So Shannon Molly just said that comparison is the thief of joy. And it's really hard to be successful at anything when you have no joy in it, which is a great point. Right. So when people do that on the scale, right, they weigh themselves every day, they're comparing themselves against themselves and the rest of the world that weigh a certain weight. And they're stealing their own joy. Like, we should be joyful that I got stronger, that I feel better, that I move better, that I can play with my kids more, that I fit into these jeans, not what the number on the scale says, or not what my age is, or what my testosterone levels are.
Right. We'll have clients who say, like, oh my God, like, I feel so much better. My clothes fit better, but the scale number's not. I'm like, why are you focusing on that when you just named 6 good things that are happening?
Right.
And that you feel good about.
It's part of, like, this is the thing, right? We're talking about behavior and habit change. It's all reframing. We're helping people reframe what they've been told their whole lives that matters, right? Which is the number on the scale and how you look. And our jobs from a nutrition standpoint is almost more about reframing than it is telling you what to eat.
All right. Let's stop talking about my next slide.
All right.
Mindset reframe. Mindset reframe. All right. So when it comes to kind of diets, these are pretty much all the things that people are a consultation of what they think of when it comes to diets, right? negative feelings, beginning and end, restriction, detoxes, good versus bad, clean versus junk, right? This becomes problematic because it's not focused on future and long-term sustainability. It's quick fixes and things to try to expedite the process, which doesn't work.
Right.
And then I always just like to tell people, if you can't see yourself sticking to the diet you're on a year from now, then we need to rethink the strategy.
That's a great thought.
100%.
Yeah, that's a great expectation changer, right? So if your first question, you're putting the ball in their court. So
Right.
if you just say, do you think the diet you are currently on is something you could do for a whole year? If the answer is no, then we've got to look somewhere else. I love that. I've never thought of asking that as a question.
Well, I mean, Precision Nutrition, I mean, I stole that from them because it's a year-long curriculum.
Right.
So I can take away a little bit at a time, but if you only give me a 2-week window, then it's going to be really hard to make sustainable change.
Yeah. Cool. Oh.
So then it goes to manage expectations. Once I can ask them in a year from now, where do you want to be? It gets them away from thinking like it's going to be so linear. You didn't put 15, 20, 30 pounds on in 2 weeks. Why is it going to come off in that same amount? And our jobs as coaches is to have them, because they're in it day to day, is to hit like the zoom out button and give them a little bit of perspective. For instance, if a client's like, oh, I weighed myself on Monday and I'm only down 0.6 pounds. Like, okay, it's crisp, but you're down 3 pounds from last Friday. Right. And they're like, oh yeah, like good perspective. It's getting them to, it's being able to have some crucial and hard conversations with people because they want instant results, and it just doesn't work that way. But these things compounded over time is what's going to make the changes. This took me so long to make these circles, and it didn't come out as good as I wanted it to. But taking action is at the foundation, in my opinion, to motivation. Like people are like, oh, once I get motivated to start hitting the gym and losing weight, my diet starts on Monday. But when you have good habits and you take action, it leads to results. And an action doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be restricting all your carbs or anything. It could be going for a walk for 5 minutes, right, or, doing 5 push-ups. And then next week you try to do 6 push-ups. And then you compound that over time. Like that's where you're going to see the change. I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that.
Dan?
No, that was great. That was great.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I agree, 100%.
So I'll just add, there's a really cool book called The Motivation Myth. And it's all about how goals are basically bullshit. Because a goal or a vision without a plan is just a goal. You're not gonna, so it's that 1% better idea. Like you get the ball rolling. I love the analogy of a goal snowball. I think I got that from Alan Cosgrove, that if you have a snowball at the top of the hill and it's a little tiny snowball and you push it down a hill, it starts to gain steam and the snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So like, as opposed to like you're saying like, oh, my diet starts on Monday, I'm going to lose 40 pounds. Like, how about I just drink less soda next week, right? Like, or how about I just get to bed an hour earlier? And all of a sudden these actions, and once you get to bed an hour earlier, oh my God, I have so much more energy. I feel like going for a walk. Oh, now that I walk, I sleep better. And oh, now I want to start exercising. Ooh, when I exercise, I don't want to mess up all my results. And I just worked out hard for an hour. I'm not going to eat that piece of cake because I don't want to ruin my workout. Like there's just this snowball effect, this small little action that you took by going to bed earlier, a half hour early, or by going for a walk at 5 o'clock every night before dinner for 15 minutes. All of a sudden, all these other things, like these bricks, start to fall into place. And in the whole book, The Motivation Myth, is basically when you do that, that's where you get your motivation from, because you can see the small changes. Motivation doesn't come from wanting a certain goal or wanting a certain result. It comes from taking the action and then seeing it go into play.
Right.
So that's a wonderful book. I mean, I don't agree with all of it, but I agree that motivation comes from many more places than me just deciding, right? Because everyone decides like, oh, I need to lose weight. I want to lose weight, or I'm going to lose 20 pounds. But like, what's the plan to get there?
Right. And that's, they talk a lot about this in PN too. It's like trying to focus on always doing something rather than trying to have it always be perfect. You know what I mean? Because I think that's what happens a lot of times too, is people, they'll screw up, let's say, you know, whatever, they don't eat the way they wanted to over the weekend, or they went to a party and something happened, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you know, it's completely gone, and now I'm just going to go the complete opposite direction. It's like, no, like, just if you always do something, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's all those small wins that you guys were talking about kind of add up over time, that snowball effect. So
right. I think the quote is "perfect ruins perfection" or something like that, or perfectionism is the antithesis of progress.
So yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Drink to that word.
Drink to antithesis. I
but it's like even when people are like, "Oh, how do you stay so motivated to work out?" It's like, I'm not. It's something I do.
Just do it.
It's something
and
I do every day.
If I don't do it, I don't feel right.
Right. Vinny, sorry, Jody Williamson asked if you could repeat the relationship between the three of these again, real quick.
So taking action is the foundation of motivation. So the more action you take, the more results you're going to get. And it's just going to be a complete feedback loop, because you may get a compliment. Oh, have you been eating healthier? Have you been working out? Which makes you take more action, and you can just keep that snowball effect rolling. Okay.
I like that.
So this was actually a 6-month study. I sold myself short 3 months. But it talks about how MGH, which is a hospital in Massachusetts, did disprove that motivation changes your behaviors. It's actually environment can change your behaviors more than motivation or willpower. So if you look at the picture on the left, this is what their hospital cafeteria looked like. The gray ones were bev refrigerators that had soda and no water bottles. And then the black ones had water bottles in it, right? So they only had 2. There was 3 with soda. And they were curious if they could change the behaviors of the people in the hospital by just reorchestrating how the hospital cafeteria looked. So they put water bottles at eye level in the soda machines, and then they put little baskets of water bottles throughout the cafeteria. So they didn't tell them that they wanted them to eat healthier. They didn't tell them that they were trying to motivate them to make better decisions just by visual appearance. It changed by decreasing soda intake 10% and increased 25% of water bottle sales.
Wow. So basically they just made water more accessible.
They made it more accessible to them.
Yeah.
So they only changed the environment.
Totally changed the environment, and it made their decision-making easier for the customers.
Wow.
Right? Retail stores do this all the time. And it kind of made me think about
this study. Where's this from? Is this PN?
This was in the article that I gave. I told you to read.
Okay.
Hopefully you read it.
I didn't read it, so.
But this goes back to kind of your checklist manifesto of the hospitals that just started doing checklists.
Right.
And it completely changed their output. But
wow.
I think
that's awesome.
This goes back to coaching nutrition on clients. It's make it as easy and as possible for your clients to succeed. So when they're stressed out, when they're tired, when they're distracted, and they're looking to eat, and they open up their fridge, if there's healthy options there, then they're more likely to eat healthy than to go for something quick and easy. Right?
Yeah.
You're going to grab human nature. You're going to go least path of resistance, and you're going to try to do whatever is easiest.
Have you guys may have seen this before, but it was like the Vietnam study where all the soldiers were drug addicted. It's in a bunch of these books. But
that was in Atomic Habits.
Oh, it was an atomic habit too. Yeah. And they basically talked about in Vietnam, a bunch of soldiers were getting addicted to heroin because it was easy to get and it was super stressful situation. They're away from their families. All like the environment was completely stacked for them to use drugs. And the government figured out that this was a huge problem. They're like, all right, all these guys are going to come back after the war's over, and we're going to have all of these vets that are drug addicts. And what they realized, they did this big study where they followed all the vets coming home, and they basically found out that 6 months after they got back, almost none of them, but a huge percentage were no longer drug addicts.
Right.
And they're like, well, how did that happen? And basically what they talk about is their environment changed. Like they came back, it was not as easy to get, it was frowned upon. Whereas in Vietnam, it was like very much accepted. You know, here, their families, they have their families, they have their friends. So it's basically what happened is the environment changed, and it completely changed what a lot of people think is an, you know, incurable sort of disease or an affliction, like a heroin addiction.
Right. So like,
very interesting.
For clients, instead of telling them like what to eat, maybe you just tell them to reorganize their kitchen or their office. Like, don't have those snacks accessible. And if you want to have ice cream, now you have to leave your house, you need to drive to the store, you have to get it, bring it back, then eat it, versus just opening up your freezer.
Yep.
That's gonna make them eat healthier or make better decisions. So that was a hospital. This is my apartment. For me, I always struggled to have, like, I'd buy creatine, fish oil, and I'd never take it. So I'm like, once I read Atomic Habits and they talk about habit stacking. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to make it so that you take a habit that you already have and you try to reintroduce a new habit to it and you put them together, right? So for me, and probably every coach on here, the first thing I do when I wake up, beeline to the coffee pot, make a coffee. So now I stuck my new habits on. Every time I'm going to have a coffee, I'm going to take my creatine and fish oil, boom, with a glass of water. And once I started implementing that habit, I have yet to miss a day having creatine or my fish oil pills, right? And you can do that with starting a new exercise habit of every time I shut my laptop after I use it for work, I'm going to do 10 push-ups and 10 squats, or 5 push-ups and 10 squats. And you can build that over time. And again, that goes back to behavioral change. For nutrition, it could be something as simple as have them buy smaller dishes. You physically can't put as much food on that dish to the left versus the dish to the right. Doing something that simple is going to make them eat less food. And then teaching them like palm sizes for portions. Like, no one wants to, some people like to those type A people, count their macros or their calories. For other people, that gives them anxiety just thinking about it. So just showing them different portion that they can use with their hand, that's going to make a big difference in their caloric intake. And as a result, it's going to make them eat healthier and eat less food.
Right.
Other things that you can do is just have them put healthier. I read this, I forget where I read this, but put your healthy food in big containers and your non-healthy food in small containers.
Ooh,
because you're going to see the big containers and they're going to take up more space in your refrigerator. So you're going to be more likely to eat them. But again, like, biggest takeaway, and this is my last slide, but biggest takeaway is that what we eat on a daily basis is what we're presented with, right? People don't have control over the future, but they have control over their habits, and their habits are what's going to decide their future.
Someone just said, Donna said that's one of James Clear's articles, big containers versus small containers.
Jordan, I don't think anyone read the article, but that was one of the lines in the article.
Well, Donna did, and she just
Donna did, yeah.
So Donna got you. Jordan asks, how can we stop the nighttime snacking from occurring? I see myself walking into the kitchen more than I should, and I think a lot of people are dealing with this right now because we're at home all day where food is accessible all the time. What I said was, this is my answer. If somebody asked me that question, you two probably have different answers. You set a time for yourself at 7 p.m. because I know I eat a ton of food after 7 p.m. After 7 p.m., I eat no meals. So I have my dinner at 6, and I do not eat anything after 7 p.m. And I brush my teeth right after dinner, because you don't feel like eating after you brush your teeth. Because when you brush your teeth, you tell your body and your brain that it's time to stop eating. So right at 7 p.m., I brush my teeth, and then there's like no like psychological need for snacks. And it's one of those things where you're just like, listen, I don't eat after 7. Like, that's the type of person I am. And if I brush my teeth, I feel healthier, but I feel like that's like the end point. Like, if I go and eat something, now I have to go brush my teeth again. So again, stacking habits.
Brendon, you just tied in a good point that Vinny brought up earlier. It's like that difference. What you said is, I don't eat after 7 p.m. versus like, oh, I can't. Right. I can't eat after 7 because it's a rule. I don't. Yeah. So it's that little, what Vinny was saying, that little mind shift.
You're telling it's that brain, that feedback loop of, I don't do that after I brush my teeth.
Right. And Jessica Tracy just brought up a good point. If you have maybe at 7 p.m., the only thing you allow yourself to snack on are carrots or vegetables, or like I don't eat candy or sugar after 7, but I'm allowed to have as much vegetables as I want after 7, or something like that. Whatever it is, you meet people where they're at.
There's so many ways to like you could skin the cat. Like, I would be interested, or maybe you need more food for dinner. Maybe you didn't eat enough. That's why you're continuously looking for a snack. I would say, like, have a big glass of water and then tell me if you're still hungry in 20 minutes. You know, there's a bunch of different ways.
Vinny, I'll go back to your beginning slide with your opening slide. What I loved about what you said is that, I believe it was during Mindset you said this, is that you put the ball in their court, and you educate them so that they make the decision themselves. And I think that's one of the most important things as a coach to do for anything. There's a book called Your Story Brand, which is all about making yourself the guide, not the hero. Your client is the hero of their own story, and you are Yoda. You are guiding them to the next level. You are not the hero. And this is the problem. Somebody asked the question in our business talk, what's the number one thing I see coaches doing wrong in the industry? It's they make themselves the hero.
Right.
When you post a video of yourself with your shirt off exercising on social media, you are making yourself the hero. You are not promoting somebody else, which is, you are now the guide. You want to make yourself the guide, because guess who needs guides? People who need coaching. People who want to spend money on a guide. They don't want to spend money on a hero. And that the whole book is about making all of your marketing towards guiding people to being the person they want to be, as opposed to, hey, look at me, I'm Brendon, I'm fit, look at how cool I am. I'm not fit, but I like to pretend I'm fit, and I sound like I know what I'm talking about, so you should listen to me and give me all your money. They're two different. Like, okay, maybe that person works with me for 3 months, but if you're not the guide, they're not going to work with you longer than that, because most of the time heroes are assholes. So you don't want to be that person. You want to be the guide. And that's exactly how you set this up, is like, I'm educating you. We're going to talk about mindset. We're going to manage your expectations. We're going to develop your habits, tools, and skills. And I'm going to be that guide for you, but I'm not the hero. You don't want to be me, and I don't want to be you. I'm going to show you how you can help yourself. I think that was probably the most important thing I heard you say. It's by Donald Miller. The Story Brand book is by Donald Miller. Thank you, Vanessa. All right, should we pass the baton to Dan?
Yep, we'll pass. So
right.
Stop sharing.
Dan, you're up.
All right.
Let me stop share.
All right. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
So, yeah, basically, so piggybacking off of both what Brendon and Vinny said, now sort of the kind of the getting into the nut and bolts of what I think we can do as coaches. And like Brendon said, sort of understanding our role as we're not dietitians, right? We're strength conditioning coaches, but I think we can play a huge part in people's nutrition. It's just like when people say, you know, I use the analogy all the time. It's like when people say, oh, you're not a physical therapist, so you can't do, you know, X, Y, and Z. Well, we can find ways around that and still make it a huge impact. I think we just have to sort of know our lane and know what our roles are. So I think the first role, and this is just, it's very similar to training. First thing is just to define clearly what to do and why, right? Because a lot of people, I think, come in with sort of a either unrealistic expectations, like we talked about earlier. They want a goal that's maybe just not attainable for them and what they have going on in their real life. Or they just have sort of a fuzzy idea of what to do. Like, oh, I want to lose weight, or I want to get fit, or I want to get healthy. And
Dan, I don't want to interrupt, but
yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Dan John, I'll never forget when he said this. Most people come in and tell you what they think you, the coach, wants to hear.
Yeah.
Most people come in and say, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds and get really strong because that's what my trainer probably wants me to hear. They're not actually sharing with you what it is that they want.
I agree. Yeah, 100%. I think people have especially when they hire you as a coach, they have a desire to please you, right? To make you happy. I mean, I think that's why we've all gotten those texts like, oh, look what I did over the weekend, or what, you know. I think a client wants to.
It's human nature, right? We all want
human nature, yeah.
We all want approval. Yeah. We all want the tribe to agree and like us, so we can stay within the tribe.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. So, sort of getting clear first with what they want to do, I think not only helps us as coaches, because again, we can better. Okay, this is the path we're gonna lead you down. This is how we're gonna develop a plan for you. But it also helps the client get clear around, again, like what they want to do, and start to think through. Okay, maybe these are some of the trade-offs that I'm gonna have to make. Do I really want to give up, you know, my weekends to get that six-pack like we were talking about earlier? Number two is to develop a plan to do it. So again, going back to the training analogy, what we're all familiar with, you do your assessment first, and you can do the same thing here. You can use an assessment and have people, like I'll email people something for them to fill out at home. And once we figure out what they want to do, now it's your job to start to plan out, okay, what are the actions we can do to get them there? Okay, so just like you would write a program for, you know, to help somebody become a better athlete or get stronger, or whatever it may be, you can do the same thing for nutrition. You break it down. Okay, this is what they want as an end goal. This is where we need to be in whatever 6 months, and sort of work backwards from that end point. Then from there, number three, just help them become able to do it. So this is what I think exactly what Vinny was just talking about, sort of setting up their environment, setting up everything in their favor to make it as easy and convenient as possible for them to be able to follow that plan. So, you know, whether it's the possibilities are endless, but you know, you could bring somebody to the grocery store and show them, you know, what they should be looking to buy, you know, while they're trying to hit this goal. You could help them, you know, reorganize the kitchen, whatever it may be. Like you guide them and you help them become able to reach whatever they're trying to do. And then the fourth one is hold them accountable, keep doing it. So this is, again, I think this is the essence of coaching. And my last slide talks a lot about this, but holding people accountable is what kind of gets the job done. I mean, it's checking in on people, it's building those relationships to make sure that they're continuing to be able to follow the plan is going to be huge. And there's different ways to do this. I think one of the things that I've made the mistake of before was not setting realistic expectations on the accountability piece. Whereas for instance, like I said, okay, I want you to, someone was texting me a picture of what they ate at every meal. And that was great for about a day. And then I was just like, oh my God, this person's got to stop texting me. So I think, so setting the standards both for your client and for yourself as a coach, what's going to be realistic, how often, what types of communication you're going to have is going to be really, really important. You guys have anything you want to jump in on there?
No, the accountability piece is where I've probably dropped the ball myself the most. I'm very, very good at the initial plan and getting them to agree to it, and then I'm not the best at following up. And like you said, what I need to do a better job is setting my own expectations as the coach beforehand and say, listen, I'm going to check in with you every 3 days, or every Friday you and I are going to have a call at 1 p.m. and put it on my own schedule. Because I have tons of shit I need to do, so I forget. So setting those expectations for myself and them from an accountability standpoint, because really it's fruitless if you don't do the accountability. Like, great, we have this awesome plan. I'm motivated to do it. Let's go. Oh, Brendon forgot about me and I haven't heard from him in 2 weeks. So, that is probably the most difficult thing. It's easy when you see the client or the member 3 times a week in your class and you can say, hey, how was breakfast? How's the diet going? Like, that's easy to do. But during COVID, you don't have that option. You don't see them 3 times a week. They're on vacation, or if I'm away, so the checking in part is something that I need to personally get better at. And that's where I probably drop the ball the most.
And there's a lot of, there's studies too that show like these things work better when it's at regularly scheduled intervals. So it's like, okay, Vinny calls me every Wednesday at 6 p.m. and we talk for half hour about how the week was or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's definitely important. So we just kind of covered it, and Brendon, you had the really good analogy of the guide. I always liken this to being a travel agent, right? So we set up a travel agent sets up somebody's vacation. They help them choose a destination. They tell them what the weather is going to be like. They tell them what to expect. So they help them get the plane tickets, book a taxi, all that stuff. But they can't take the trip for them, right? The person still has to take the vacation on their own. And I think that's what, as coaches, we have to remember that. Like we can do everything we can to set them up for success, and that's our job, and that's what people pay us for. But we can't do the thing for them, which is, I think, a lot of times it's the hardest part, right? It's like it'd be a lot easier if we could, but that's the job. So
yeah.
So next slide, where to start, right? So we have all that sort of laid out. I love this sort of framework that Precision Nutrition and other people have kind of laid out, but it starts with, again, what's the goal? That's the top layer. And then from there, what are the skills that the person's going to need and be able to reach that goal? And then broken down further from that, what are the practices, so the daily practices, the daily action steps that they can take in order to build those skills and reach the goal? Right? And I think the skill part is probably what gets forgotten most, I think, in this process. But that's what, in Vinny's, going back to Vinny's slide, that's what I think prevents people from regaining the weight, right? Is the diets will show them how to reach their goal, but they don't show them any way to sort of maintain that and keep that. And those are, a lot of times, those are skills that people build, like, okay, the skill of knowing how much to eat, and the skill of knowing what to look for at the grocery store, and on and on and on.
Would you say skill is the same thing as habit?
Yeah, very similar.
Could you replace habit?
Right.
Yeah, you could probably replace it with habit, right?
Yeah.
And then in one of the practices that get them to the habit. Yeah, because I think we want the skill, or we want the habit. We want the skill to be habitual, right? To become habitual, to become automatic.
To become habits, yeah.
Yeah, where they don't have to consciously rack their brain to figure out what to eat. It's more of like, okay, this is what I do. I know what to do. I'm just going to do it.
Right. Have you guys read The Paradox of Choice?
No.
So the Paradox of Choice, basically we only have so much willpower all day long. And the Paradox of Choice talks about why, for example, Mark Zuckerberg wears the same clothes every day. Why did Steve Jobs wear the same clothes every day? Why does Obama have the same exact suit and only wear 2 suits? Because we have decision fatigue. By the end of the day, it gets harder and harder to make decisions. In the morning, most of us have more decision willpower, right? Because we're not as tired. But by the end of the day, you've made hundreds and hundreds of decisions, and you're tired, and you're like, oh shit, I just want a beer. I just want a donut, or I just want some piece of cake. I just want to relax and lay on the couch, like because of decision fatigue. So Paradox of Choice, I think, is a really good book
Write that one down.
for the skills and the habits piece of this, because what you're saying, Dan, is you're setting up your environment so that the decisions are easier to make, right? Like if I know that, like Vinny, you made the comment that like, if I have to go drive to get a pint of ice cream, like I'm going to have to really, really want a pint of ice cream. If I'm going to have to get up and get in my car and go and get, so like if I go get a thing of ice cream, I'm just going to eat the whole damn thing in one sitting, and I don't have any more ice cream. And the next time I want it, I'm going to need, so actually I made that rule personally with red meat. So I love a good steak. But I don't make steak at home anymore, because when I eat steak, I feel lethargic. It hurts my stomach. And of course I can't stop eating it because it's so damn good. So I eat way too much of it. So the only time that I allow myself to eat red meat now is if I go out to dinner and I want to spend $80 on a damn steak, which you guys know me.
Makes you think about it. Makes you think twice.
I'm cheap as hell, and I don't want to spend $60 on a steak unless I really want the damn thing. So I've just made that rule at home with Jenny, is like, we don't eat red meat at home. We only eat it when we go out to dinner. So now the choice doesn't even have to be made. It's made for me. The Paradox of Choice is a wonderful book to talk about what you were just discussing with decision fatigue. And every parent knows decision fatigue, because decision fatigue is the worst part of parenting, because by the end of the day, you have no willpower left. So,
Brendon, I know they've talked about that. I've read about this, and this is why they put all the candy bars at the end of, right before you're checking out at the grocery store. Because they say by the time you've made all those decisions to go around the grocery store, you're just like, and you fatigued, and your body starts to crave things like sugar and fat, and like Vinny was talking about, they study these things, how to make them so addictive, and you just, and they price them a certain way too. So it's like, oh, it's only candy bars $1.50, right? I just bought $500 worth of groceries. Like who cares about, another small little purchase like that.
Right. And I want it. I'm hungry right now.
And I want it. Yeah. Exactly.
Dominica brought up a good, the Paradox of Choice also says that the more options we have to choose from, the less satisfied we are. And too many choices can push us to avoid making no choice at all. The study they use in the book is they go into a store and they set up a jam table with 26 different types of jam. And people taste test all these different jams. And I think something like 10% of people ended up buying jam that day. They had the next day they do it with 6 jams. So you only have 6 to choose from, and they sell 4 times as much jam, because there's just less decisions to be made, and there's less to try. And you're like, oh my God, there's so many jams. Like, I don't know which one to buy. So I'm just not going to buy any at all. So like if you at home, you're like, okay, I have chicken breast, I have broccoli, I have whatever, I have turkey, I have a little bit of whole grain bread, and I have zucchini. Like those are the 6 things I have available right now. Well, guess what? Those are the 6 things you get to eat. Like, so you don't have to make many decisions. You only have 6 to choose from. Whereas like if you got thousands of things, your freezer is full, you have a whole jar, a whole pantry full of snacks and cookies, like it's really easy to walk over to the pantry and open that up.
Right.
So anyways,
Exactly.
I'll get off my box. You continue with your slides. I've read
All right, so
books, I realized I got to stop reading and just watch.
I'm making notes here.
Yeah.
I got a bunch more to catch up on. So sort of putting this into practice. So again, like this is something you can do with your clients as soon as you figure out what that goal is, what they want to accomplish. You can start to break these things down, and it makes it much more organized and makes it a plan that you can show. If you show a client this, they're going to be like, okay, I can start to see sort of what these things are building to. So let's say that a client comes in and eventually you get to the goal of consistently eating healthier so they can lose 30 pounds. So what the next level is, what are some of the skills that they're going to need to learn to consistently eat better in order to lose that weight, right? And it could be several skills, but one of them might be just becoming more aware of what their own body is telling them, right? So awareness of hunger and appetite signals, and what's their own body telling them. So okay, that's a good skill, but it's also very abstract. So what are some actual practices or things that we can do to start to develop that? And the first one might be you eat slowly at each meal, right? So let's say, very simply, eat a meal as you normally would and just set a timer. So take your cell phone, set your timer, see how long it takes you to eat the meal. And a lot of times what we find is people will completely rush through the meal, or they'll eat, in front of the TV and distracted and doing work at the computer. I do it all the time. And before they know it, they've scarfed down an entire meal in 5 minutes. And why that's important is there's a lot of research that shows that it bypasses, when you eat that quickly, it bypasses the signals that essentially tell your brain telling your gut telling your brain that you've had enough to eat. Okay, so getting you to slow down at the meal allows those signals to go through, and makes you, again, start to develop a better awareness of sort of what your body is telling you. Next practice could be eat until satisfied and stuff. So once you figure out, okay, I just sort of know the pace I should eat at, you start to realize, like, okay, I can eat enough food to feel satisfied. Like, I don't need to run back into the kitchen to get more food, like Vinny was saying. But I'm not to that point where I'm like way overstuffed and I feel terrible and I can't sleep the rest of the night. Okay, and the biggest thing is, each of these practices, like we always say, this isn't stuff that people have to do for the rest of their lives, right? You might work on this for 1 or 2 weeks, or until you become really competent at it. So say, like, eat slowly at each meal, make it last at least 20 minutes. They may crush that within the first week, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, we can move on from that. Like, you got that. Okay, it's just like progressing or regressing exercises. Like, if you're trying to teach somebody to goblet squat and they, at the end of phase 1, they still can't goblet squat, you just stay there. It's not a big deal. So it's usually at least 2 weeks that we like to see, just because it shows consistency. But again, these aren't practices that people have to do for the rest of their lives. These are just things that they do in order to build the skills or build those habits that are going to eventually lead to their goal. And again, there could be a bunch more. There would be a bunch more for this one, but just to kind of show you.
We just had Jessica Tracy mention, like, what you do is, if you're the server, you serve smaller portions and leave all the extra food in the kitchen. Don't bring the extra food to the table. I love that. My favorite one is that every time you take a bite, you have to put your fork down or put your spoon down. You do not hold the spoon or fork in your hand the whole time, because you're just going to shovel it. So you take a bite and you put it down, and then your hands are free. And then until you're ready for the next bite, you take, and then you put it down again. That was my favorite for slowing down.
That's a good one.
I love this.
Chopsticks too.
Chopsticks? Ooh.
Chopsticks are tough.
And that's skill too. That uses your brain.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough.
Do you print this out for people? I mean, I would love to have like a blank copy of this where you just have this in front of a client.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, here we go. Here's your goal. Here's the month skills. And then here are the practices.
Yeah. So I don't know if we can send these sheets to everyone that's on the call now,
Yeah.
but we can add that.
Yep.
Yeah. And a lot of times what we'll do, so I'll even have the person fill out the goal. I'll fill out like 1 or 2 skills. And again, I start with the practices, but then leave a bunch blank too, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen or how they're going to do.
Right.
So
well,
we
sort of know when you make people put pen to paper, it's psychologically like, holy shit, I'm agreeing to do this right now. Like, oh my God, but you wrote it. Like, don't tell me this was mine. You physically wrote it down. So I love that.
Right. Yeah. So another example, this time kind of the opposite end. So a hockey player, maybe it's their off season. They want to gain 15 pounds before the next season. Okay. So same exact process where the skills they're going to need in order to reach their goal. And then from there broke down what are the practices that they could do in order to build those skills. So again, gaining weight, we're going to have to, again, like both Brendon and Vinny said, like sort of meeting them where they are. So figuring out first, what are they eating now, right? From there, let's just say like this kid's not eating he's not eating much. He's not eating protein. He's not eating breakfast. So first thing would just be very simple, like, okay, have a protein shake after training, right? And to maybe even go back further than that, the first practice might just be, okay, buy protein powder or get a shaker bottle, whatever, right? And then gradually start to build on, but first kind of increase their protein take and then maybe add another shake in between each meal and then start to add more whole food options of protein in each meal. So 2 fist-sized portions. The next skill, so once they sort of have the protein part down, the next skill might just be increasing the amount of calories they get every day. So start to think about, okay, increasing the amount of carbs they have at each meal, increasing the amount of fats they have at each meal, and then eventually adding extra meals, right? Maybe go from 3 meals a day to 4 meals a day and 4 meals a day to 5 and on and on and on. But I think the biggest thing here is, again, I just wanted to show how it could work on both ends of the spectrum. Someone trying to gain weight, someone trying to lose weight. It's the same process, just breaking down what they want to do into the skills they're gonna need to get there, and then from there, what are the practices in order to build those skills. And then the last slide here, this is one of my favorite. I remember reading this and a huge light bulb moment for me, but it's from a study. The link to the studies on the bottom there. It says a diverse body of research supports the idea that dietary adherence, so the degree to which an individual sticks to a diet, is a more important factor in weight loss success than the type of diet that the individual is prescribed, which I think is really important and kind of wraps up everything that we've talked about so far. It's like, okay, there's a million different diets out there. There's a million different ways to skin the cat, but the biggest thing is giving somebody something that they're going to be able to do and stick with over a long period of time. That's what's going to be the biggest factor in their success. And whether, even if it's starting really, really small, like smaller than you probably think you should start, again, the biggest thing is, are they going to be able to do it? And I think that's where a lot of times people miss the boat. I know I've made the mistake myself. It's like, you almost get too fancy at first and give somebody a strategy that's way too high level, where it's like, if you had just given something simple and built on that, it would have been like that snowball effect that you were talking about, Brendon. That's a much better way to go.
Yeah. And I would say the same thing for exercise, right? Like,
yeah,
exercise, like you want to get fit, like it just adhere to something. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be a specific, I mean, we train in a way that we believe is optimal for each person. Like, I mean, we're biased. Like, that's what we believe. That's why we teach what we do. But like, if people are like, how do I start exercise? It's like, well, just start doing something. Like, and do it every day for 30 minutes. Like, run every day for 30 minutes, do yoga every day for 30 minutes. I don't care. Just do something every day for 30 minutes. Like, adherence, like, you will get fit at some point. Now, will you stay healthy? Will you feel great? I don't know. Like, I can't tell you that, but I know that sticking to it and doing it consistently is the best way to get really good at something. Or to get fit, whatever that is to you. So, I mean, with same thing with nutrition, same thing with diet. I mean, exercise. Cool.
100%. Awesome.
Well, it's already been an hour and a half, but I'm down for questions. If you guys are, we still have 83 people listening to us. You guys down for questions?
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm going to share my screen. All right. So, questions that we had. I didn't have a whole, I think I have 10. So, post-workout and pre-workout. What do you guys got? Now, let's go post-pre-workout for an athlete. We'll say a 19-year-old male or female soccer player. And then let's go pre or post-workout for an adult that's going to work out for 45 minutes. I don't know if those are different. I mean, I have my own opinions, but I want to hear from you two, pre and post.
So I would say post-workout, I want to make sure that they're getting some type of quality protein shake or meal in within an hour after their workout. Do I think the window needs to be like immediately? No, but any more than an hour, you're probably running the risk of losing, from a recovery standpoint, some type of thing. Pre-workout depends how early or close it is to the workout. I would say if you're going to eat a meal before, you want it to be about an hour so you're not feeling bloated or heavy. And for an actual meal, I would say something that's easy to digest, like simple carbohydrate, bagel if it's in the morning, bagel with like a banana, or bagel with a shake. But yeah, other than that, I would say more carbohydrates before, focus on protein afterwards.
Cool. Dan?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I think something easy to digest first, for sure, because again, you don't want that rumbling around during training. And then something, ideally, something convenient to have after. So whether it's a shake, or if they can get home and have a full meal, awesome. But we know that's not realistic for a lot of people, and I think that's why we like the idea of like protein shakes. It's not that necessarily like Vinny said, the window of opportunity as much as it's convenient. We know most people are going from the gym to something else, whether it's practice or to work or school, whatever it may be. So something convenient is always going to be a key there.
Right. So what I'm hearing from both of you is there's idealistic, right, which is ideally you go get a full balanced nutrition meal within an hour of working out. And then there's reality, which is like a lot of people don't go right home and make a meal. So maybe a protein shake is the best option, or bringing your food with you, right, which is a habit that we talk about. I think it also depends on if you're trying to lose weight or gain weight.
Right.
If you're trying to gain weight, you need more calories. If you're an athlete trying to gain weight, and probably more carbohydrates. If you're trying to lose weight, you probably need a little less carbohydrates and a little more protein and fats. And the window, like if you work out for 45 minutes, there's not this like crazy window of opportunity that if you don't get it in 30 minutes, you're going to die. Like all your muscle will go away. They've proven that's not true. The body will uptake more carbohydrates and fats and stuff to recover if you get it within an hour or two. It's not like this hard or fast rule. It's not what the interwebs, right? The articles told you that you, right? Because guess who sold that? Supplement companies.
Right.
You need protein in 30 minutes after you're working out, or all your muscle will go away. Like, it's just not true.
Hey, I did it.
Right.
I did it too. I mean, I did it for
all of us.
Yeah, we've
16
all
to
done it.
22. I took like 3 protein shakes in 30 minutes after I was done working out. And all it did was make me bigger. It didn't, or in the waistline, not in the muscles. So like I think there's a weight loss, which is like going to be geared more towards protein and fats and a little less carb. You still want carb because you need to replenish. I mean, you don't want to pass out. You need energy, but your athletes trying to gain weight are going to be more geared towards getting the replenishment of the carbohydrates to do it again tomorrow. If you can plan ahead, right? Habits, plan ahead, put the shake in the morning, shaker bottle with the scoop in it, like for after your workout. Or have a workout, or have a place that you stop at and you get a healthy meal before you go home. I will say my favorite pre-workout supplement. Can you guys guess what it is?
Coffee.
If you're over the age of 18, coffee.
Coffee, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
The C4BS, the NO Explode. It's just powdered coffee.
There's a lot of caffeine.
And it's got a ton of beta alanine in it, which messes with your nervous system. And it's $150 a tube or a tub. Yeah. So just drink damn coffee.
I remember being 18 and having an anxiety attack on NO Explode.
Yeah, me too.
I was
the
like,
beta
in the
alanine
gym.
makes you all tingle.
So bad.
Yeah.
Someone asked, what about fasted workouts for those that work out at 5 or 6 a.m.?
Wait a minute, Rebecca, we've got fasted coming soon here in the question.
Yeah, coming? Okay.
It's coming. So, sorry. I need to get rid of the Q&A box here because it's blocking my view. Elvin asks, count or not to count macros?
I hate the it depends answers, but I think it does depend on the person that you're working with. Those type A individuals, I think, do really well with seeing numbers. So it works. And you can tell them just focus on hitting under your calories. And once they do that, then you can start introducing like the macronutrient numbers, and then they can stay in those ranges. So you're still working along the lines of the precision nutrition, one thing at a time. But for most clients, we don't do it. I haven't had success long-term with people doing it.
Yeah.
If you have people fill out like a diet plan or a nutrition plan, we all know what happens. They like eat really healthy for 3 days. It's not realistically how they eat.
Yeah, I think counting calories is good if you have like a 12-week competition coming up.
Right. What's your goal?
Like you're getting ready for the Olympics. You're getting ready for the season. But again, it's a short-term thing. Like the amount of headache and brain power. Again, we're talking about decision fatigue. Like you want decision fatigue. Try to weigh your food out. Like that is. Yeah.
I mean, even bodybuilders aren't doing this full time if they don't have a show coming up.
Right. They only do it 12 weeks at a time. Yeah. So yeah, I would say no to counting macros. I would say live a healthy lifestyle, have good habits, and count macros if you're going for a competition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would say the same. It matters for very few people.
Yeah.
And they also, I mean, one thing we always preach too is like people eat meals, not macros, right? Like they don't, nobody, it's not realistic. It's like, it's not gonna, like Vinny said earlier, this isn't something you could do for the rest of your life, or it's not something you could probably even do for a year, right? So the vast majority of people aren't going to need it.
Right. I will say if you are the macro counting type, Renaissance Nutrition or Renaissance Periodization is my favorite company for counting macros and weighing your food. But for, again, 99% of the people that I work with and people that I converse with, it's precision nutrition.
Yeah. One thing I do like, not counting the macros, but being able to see the ratios, I think sometimes are good. So on something like a MyFitnessPal, where you're not looking at numbers, so to speak, but like almost like the pie chart of how much the ratio of protein to carbs to fat, whatever. I think that can be helpful because it's easy, right? Like you can just look at it and be like, okay, let's try to get.
You're talking about it more from an awareness perspective, though. Like you're just becoming aware of what percentages of what are you putting in your body. Because if you don't do that, you have no idea.
Right.
Right. Right.
Which is where food journaling comes in, right? Food journaling for the first week or two, I think, is a wonderful thing. But after that, I don't see the benefit in doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Like the goal
I
is to
agree.
learn what the meals end up looking like, so you don't have to continue to keep counting your macros.
Right.
Right.
So do you guys use the journaling thing, or like you take pictures of your food and they send it to you? I always did it for a week, and then after that we got rid of it because
Yeah.
it's decision fatigue.
Exactly, yeah.
I just want you to be aware of what the hell you're putting in your body, because most people will be like, oh, I didn't even realize that that's how much I was eating, or I forgot that I was eating all these snacks in between because now I have to take a picture of everything.
Right. And that's back to that skill thing. That's why almost the first skill is almost always just becoming more aware.
Right.
Because no one's really aware of
right. If you don't know, you
not
can't
only what they're eating, how they're eating. Yeah. Yeah. And you can't change. So
what does the latest research show about the effects of creatine? I know this is Kevin Carr's favorite topic. And actually, they just posted a creatine article in our group, so I will share that
nice.
to everybody here.
Nice.
My understanding is that anything under 3 grams is totally safe and effective for anyone, any age. It's also been recently studied for the effects of depression, and it actually
And concussion, right?
And concussions. So it actually
Yeah.
helps decrease depression and concussions, or helps speed in the recovery. Do you need to load 20 grams at a time? No. I take 3 grams of creatine every day. But yeah, that's my understanding. You don't need to load it up. It's safe and effective for everyone. All meats have creatine in it, or all red meat, right? All red meat has creatine in it. So you're taking creatine if you eat red meat anyways. You're just taking it at a higher dose. It's like fish oil. All fish have fish oil, but if you don't eat enough fish, then you're going to need fish oils, and like me, because I don't eat any fish. And if I don't eat any red meat, then I'm going to need creatine. So is that your standing as well? I'm okay with recommending it for kids over 16 as well. But again,
I don't think there's a more researched or studied supplement than creatine, and all of them show no negative side effects. So
the only caveat I always tell people with creatine is that just look at what else it has in it, because a lot of them are loaded with even just like sugar and things like that, which still they market as helping you absorb more creatine, but really it's just a filler, so they can put less creatine in there and dump a bunch of
stuff,
really inexpensive sugar in. Yeah, so
got it. So it tastes better.
And it tastes better. Yeah.
So that's a good point. Read the label. Make sure it's just creatine monohydrate. Yeah, that's what you want. It should be tasteless too. That way there's no extra sugar in it. So we talked about, this one, weight cutting athletes, best practices for assisting them. Jason Hill, if you contact me personally, or if anyone wants weight cutting stuff, I will recommend you to Shara and Kyle Holland, who are both weight cut specialists with multiple professional MMA athletes. This is way out of my wheelhouse. I know neither of you know anything about this. I know nothing about it, and I'm not going to pretend that I know anything about it. And I would recommend having a doctor present. And I believe they work with doctors when they do this. They have like blood pressure cuffs. They have all that stuff. So I'm going to say,
you got to be careful.
Yeah.
You got to be careful, not only for health reasons, but also performance-wise. Like, you can completely destroy somebody's performance. Like, I think Scotty had a situation where he was trying to cut weight, and it just wrecked him for the competition.
I mean, they're doing a better job now, but like high schools dealing with like wrestlers and any type of like boxers, this stuff could be like fatal. There's been people who have died trying to like make weight for a fight because they haven't eaten and they're so dehydrated, and like there's a science to it, and you need to do it properly, or else there could be severe consequences.
So
I would say,
but
I mean, it comes down to planning, but I would work with a professional. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it.
And then this next question is the same thing. how do you talk to somebody with body dysmorphia clients about eating adequately? Again, this is out of my wheelhouse. If it is a diagnosed anorexia or bigorexia, they need a psychiatrist. They need a professional that works on these things. I remember
if you suspect it, yeah.
Yeah, I remember I had an athlete once where she wasn't, she had body dysmorphia, but she over-exercised to the point where like she was having anxiety attacks, like coming into the gym, and like she told me she was running 4 or 5 hours a day and working out at Boyle's 5 days a week. And like I remember we had to call her parents and say, hey, we are worried about how much she is exercising because she had so much anxiety about making the team next year for varsity. And we had to call her parents and they got her medical professional or a psychiatrist. And we actually, part of her program was to stop working out at the gym. So we checked up on her, but she never came back because of she had to go see a medical professional. We've had to have we've had those conversations with the parents, but never with the person, because like I can't diagnose them as a chronic excessive exerciser or with body dysmorphia. And that's when you punt the ball. I don't pretend to be someone I'm not. So
yeah.
How many meals in a day? I like this question because it's all over the internet, right?
Same thing. It depends. I think
depends. Yeah, like
a lot of all the research. I know we hate saying it.
I hate the answer, but we're going to give you one.
Basically all the research points to you can be successful no matter. It all comes down to the amount of calories that you consume basically within a day. So you can, if you want to do that in 6 meals a day, if you want to do that in 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day, whatever it may be, the most important thing is it's that calories in, calories out, right? It goes back to that.
So
the micronutrients.
Right. It comes back to that initial conversation when you ask your client, like, how many meals do you usually eat a day? Then you can kind of gauge if you should have 2 snacks or 3 snacks or 6 meals or 1 meal. Because as long as they're eating in a caloric deficit, they're going to lose weight if that's their goal.
Right. And actually, I'm going to come back to this because Matt West asked about 16-hour fasts, and that's actually all the questions in the Q&A right now is what do we think about fasting, and does it ultimately make a big difference in carb and fat usage? What I know about fasting, number one, is you eat less food.
Yeah.
Because you don't eat as much, you don't have as much time to eat. So if you only have an 8-hour window, if you only have an 8-hour window to eat, you're just going to eat less because the other 8 hours you're sleeping.
So the reason devil's advocate. Play devil's advocate. I get worried using this strategy with people that don't have an understanding of what proper nutrition should be, because by the time their fast is over, they're ravenous and they don't take a long time to eat. They're stuffing their face.
Right. So we should preface it as like fasting isn't a reason to eat whatever the hell you want for 8 hours.
Sure. Right.
It still comes back to that calories in. Yeah.
So we know if all the studies show that fasting means you just eat less. You eat less during the day. Most people. If people go into it with the mindset like I'm going to eat 4 hours a day and I'm just going to gorge myself, then that's not true. But if we're going to say 80% of people just eat less food when they fast. It doesn't make a difference between carb and fat usage. It's the same thing with conditioning, right? Everyone's like, well, aerobic conditioning, anaerobic conditioning uses different systems. No, you're using the same systems all the time. The mitochondria doesn't care. What's going into the mitochondria for energy and coming out of the mitochondria for exercise. The mitochondria doesn't know. So carb and fat usage is if you fast, you're not going to use more body fat. Like it's all calories in, calories out, macros, micros.
Right. I think the one thing it has a lot of benefit with, because I have tried fasting and I do not feel good doing it. Like I feel run down and terrible. But I do think I always say, like, trying to eat, for me at least, trying to eat dinner earlier.
Yeah.
And having a few hours before I go to bed, I sleep better.
Right.
Which, again, that was one of those principles, right, that we talked about earlier, like getting better sleep improves weight loss and health and all these other things. So I think that if I try to use this as a strategy with people, I start off by saying, like, okay, figuring out, what time they have their last meal and trying to push that a couple hours earlier. So let's say if they normally eat, finish dinner at 8, maybe can you try to finish dinner at 6, 7 or 6, and that gives you a couple hours before they stop. So they stop eating after dinner. Then they have ideally a full night of sleep, and then maybe could you push breakfast back,
Right.
whatever,
Right.
2 hours. And I think that all adds up, as opposed to talking to people about fasting, which I think for a client at least, like, we're all fitness professionals are into it, but I think sometimes for a client it can be kind of overwhelming or maybe intimidating.
Not, like Vinny said, I don't think it's a place you start with people. I think it's a conversation you have with them after they've mastered the basics. So I personally fast every day if you look at it as in an 8-hour window, I eat breakfast at 10 and my last meal is at 6. Just because I go, like you said, I finish my dinner a couple hours before I go to bed so that I'm not sleeping with a full stomach. And then when I wake up, I do a bunch of work until about 9 or 10 a.m. and then I have my first meal. So, but that's what works for me. Like, here's the thing is, like, right, all diets work. It just, does it work for you? Which is the answer. It depends on the person. Like, so I love using this example, kale, right? Kale is a superfood. Like, everyone should eat kale. Well, 1, what if you hate kale? 2, what if you can't afford to buy kale? 3, what if you don't have access to kale? 4, what if you're allergic to kale? I know people who are allergic to kale. Like, is it a superfood for them? So, like, that's where, like, everyone should intermittent fast. Like, this, it's not true. Like, so, like you said, Dan, you feel terrible. I feel great. Like, and it makes you eat less. And like you said, Vinny, like, intermittent fasting is not where you begin with people. Like, it is it is a skill set you have to earn, basically.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the meme millennials call skipping breakfast fasting?
Hey, that's technically what it is. Yeah.
Sure.
If fasting's 8 hours, then okay, I'm going to go back to this one. What digital platform have you found to be informative and effective from an accountability standpoint? And what are your best monitoring and tracking tools?
So I played around with Pro Coach, which is by, of course, Precision Nutrition. So you can make client accounts, and Precision Nutrition sends them daily reminders, habit tasks, and things for them to fill out. So they're constantly getting hit with questions, reminders, and education from a nutrition standpoint, and it keeps them accountable, which is pretty good. The only negative about it, it's a lot. You get a lengthy email every single day, so clients feel like they're getting bombarded with stuff. But I think if you tell them and you're upfront with them, like, hey, if you miss an email, you don't need to go back, just take it day by day. I think it's probably the best thing that you're gonna find on the internet.
What was that again?
It's called Pro Coach.
Oh, Pro Coach. Precision Nutrition's Pro Coach.
Precision Nutrition's Pro Coach, yeah.
Got it.
And if you need to go through, I think, level 1 certification to get access to that.
Yeah. Dan, Fitness Pal? You use Fitness Pal, or have people use Fitness Pal?
I've used that. Yeah. The only downside with that is they've changed, I think fairly recently, they changed. So people used to be able to, clients could send you what they were doing. So I would never push tracking, logging food really with clients, but certain people do it and have done it for a long time. So it used to be very easy for the client to share that with the coach, and they've since changed their sharing process, for lack of a better term, so that it's now more complicated. So I haven't been using that as much. But I think Pro Coach is good. It's expensive, but it's good. Even just like tracking, I just like the basic like habit tracking methods where people like, whether it's making an X on the calendar or
Spreadsheet.
Spreadsheet, giving it a little check.
I love that.
Yeah, one of my favorite things I ever did was I bought one of those gigantic
calendars.
I remember that. Yeah.
Like 6x9 calendar, and I would write on the calendar what I did for 30 minutes every day. So like and then if I didn't, I'd get a big red X that I didn't want to see.
Yeah.
So that was really helpful. Just have that up on my wall for exercise. I used it for, but
I think that stuff's super helpful.
Yeah. We had a question here. Dexter said, what about low carb? There's a low carb intermittent fasting group on Facebook that recommends low carb diets for their athletes. What is your opinion on it? Well, my first opinion is that, again, this was my problem with the vegan or the vegetarian. What's that documentary that just came out?
Oh, I know. Game Changer.
Game Changer. So it works amazing for some people. You're looking for the N of 1. 80% of people athletes are not going to do well on a low carb diet. Like, you need energy in order to play at a high level and recover. Now there's 20% of people that are going to do great on a low carb diet because that's what their body needs. But again, if I'm looking at it from the 80-20 perspective, who am I going to help the most? Now, how do you figure out who's the 80-20? I don't know. That's a conversation you have to have. That is called trial and error. And they will tell you, if you ask enough questions, people will say, when I fast, I feel good. Well, then let's fast. Like, when I fast, I feel like shit. Okay, let's not do that. Let's do something else. But what they did in Game Changers is they cherry picked, right? They cherry picked the people. They found elite athletes who are vegetarian and vegans. Most of those athletes are genetic freaks who are going to be really, really good anyways. And they're going to be ripped to shreds whether they ate Twinkies or they ate vegetables. Like, they cherry picked their people, which is the same thing. Like, anyone who has a diet that they're trying to sell, they cherry pick their people. It's the same thing with training. People try to cherry pick this woman lived to 120 and she ate a pine cone every day, right? So everyone should eat pine cones. Like, it's not like, you can't, just because the group says it. Mike always brings up the, if I have an injury, right? I have a shoulder injury. If I go to acupuncturist, what's the acupuncturist going to do?
Acupuncture.
Yeah. If I go to massage therapist, what are they going to do?
Right.
Massage.
Right. If I go to a PT, what are they going to do?
PT.
Right. What's a chiropractor going to do? They're going to adjust my spine for my shoulder. When I go to a surgeon, what's a surgeon going to do? Surgery. Like, so whoever you're following or looking for, like, you're going to get their bias. It's the same thing. If you come to CFSC, you're going to get our bias, which is training people functionally for the 80-20. We are not the right company to help you become an Olympic lifter. If you want to go to the Olympics to Olympic lift, the CFSC is not the right program, right? And I'm fine with saying that. We're not everything to all people. So I don't care what the low carb intermittent fasting group says. I'm going to look at it from the perspective of what's the best thing for the person standing in front of me. And it's probably not low carb, intermittent fasting for those people.
What do they call it? Dietary agnostic is what they always say.
Dietary agnostic.
Right? It's not one method. It's whatever works best.
Right.
You guys have anything else to add to that low carb? Or John asked, how do you calculate how many calories a person should have for weight loss? And do you factor in their daily activity? Do you guys use a number, or are you guys just doing the natural, the habit stuff without finding their metabolic rate? Or
I don't get too complicated with that.
Yeah.
I know very simple math. Mm-hmm. It's like, for whatever reason, it's 12 times whatever their goal body weight is.
Mm-hmm.
And then that gives you your total calories. And then I try to tell them to stay around 1 gram per body weight
for protein.
For protein.
Okay,
I know if you hit those two, you'll be good.
So 2 numbers.
Your numbers are
your goal weight times 12.
equals your total calories, and then
your goal weight in protein
and protein.
Perfect. Done.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Doesn't have to be any more difficult than that.
That's as complicated as yet. And then I say let the other ones take care of themselves.
Right. Unless you want to go Renaissance periodization where you're doing a 12-week competition. But again, those people aren't paying you for training, right? Those people train themselves. Most people who pay money for training just want to feel healthy and feel better and look good naked.
Right.
You got anything else, Dan? I think we have one more question.
No, it's perfect.
Okay. 3 pieces of nutritional advice that you would say is most beneficial to most, if not all, clients. So final question. Drum roll.
Final question.
Yeah.
I think it's all the stuff we've covered earlier. I mean, I would say it would be keep it simple first. Do one thing at a time, and then figure out where they are, or figure out where they're starting from. I think that's one of the biggest things, figuring out where they're starting from, because again, there's so many different ways you can go, but it doesn't matter if they can't stick with it. And that's going to be the biggest, that's going to be what determines ultimately their success, is are they going to be able to stick with what you give them? Because you're wasting your time and you're wasting their time if you give them something that is too over their head or too complicated, so you got to figure out where they are. You got to pick one thing to focus on at a time, and then you got to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Eat food, mostly plants, not too much. It's one of my favorite books of all time. It's so damn simple, but it's so hard to do. Eat real food that doesn't come in a box or a bag. Make it mostly plants. 60% of the time it's plants. And then don't eat too much, right?
Yeah.
Eat till you're full, smaller plates. Like if you follow those 3 rules, you will get health every time. And I will always default to Michael Pollan because he's way smarter than me and did way more research. So that would be my final statement. And that, if I could sum up nutrition in one soundbite, that's it.
Love it.
Amen.
Beautiful.
Mike,
all right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Any parting words? I'll have a video for everyone. I will have the lectures, and I will have a PDF of all the books and stuff we recommended to read.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey guys, if you have any questions, you can find us on social media too.
Yeah. Well, what I'll do is on a last slide, Vinny, I'll put all our social media stuff.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you guys.
All right. Thank you. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Take care.